Hey everybody, good day, good day, good day. Peacemaker, Season 2. First episode. The Ties That Grind. Or, my review really looks at it as The Ties That Grind Harshly. I've been looking forward to this. I really did like the second Suicide Squad movie, although parts of that supposedly are part of the new canon going forward under James Gunn. And then, of course, I liked the first season of Peacemaker a lot. So really look forward to this excitingly. So I'll give you some thoughts and comments here in a few minutes. Norb with Silver Age. We're a young channel, and what we focus upon is the current event structures and activities like this, James Gunn's new Peacemaker, the new DC universe, and how it's been also influenced from the comic book realms, from Golden Age, Bronze Age. But really, this review is more focusing on the quality of this stuff. But I will have a couple connections back to the stuff that happened in DC comic books in the 60s, and maybe alluding back in the 50s and 40s a little bit here, a few minutes. Please like and subscribe to this channel. And I'd like to hear a commentary. From a review perspective, I'll get into a lot of these reasons a little bit later. I'm going to give it begrudgingly a bronze. The episode by itself probably deserves a 10 medal from me. And really the reason I'm kind of down on this episode is the fact we're dealing with the multiverse crap again, but I think the way they're going to be presenting it, and I'll explain a little bit later in this video, why this will, I think it's going to work a lot better, because it's not like we've seen in Marvel and we've seen in everything always, where there's iterations of us, like everything we make a different decision, creates another universe. It's not like that kind of stuff. So at least that part seems good. But I still struggle with some of that. But anyway, I'm giving this a bronze because the potential where this is going to go, I think this is going to be a mature, the characters are going to mature and they're going to realize their own values. And I'll explain this in a little bit. So this episode, my first thought when I saw the trailers is like, when the heck are we letting go of all this multiverse stuff? Where I struggle with this is not when it originally happened back in the comic book early days. I mean, really what it was about was in the 40s, 50s, we had a group of heroes that we redid a little bit differently and carried forward, like Superman. But we created a whole new genre, but we also had characters from the past that, such as a Green Lantern, that his ring worked against wood, for example. Dr. Fate, a magician that had this mask that was influenced by an Egyptian god. And how that was handled is they created they call it Earth 2, and eventually we had an Earth 3. We had Earth 4, I think. And I think there was an Earth X, and I can't remember all the derivatives that happened after that. But I thought that was solid and good, because back then, we didn't necessarily have the same people having slightly different roles that we saw like in the Mirror Universe stuff with Star Trek. So this is a fear I had here. I mean, it's like, do I want to know that myself, the next universe dimension over, is a blankety-blank punk rocker or something? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know that or want to go there. Or the fact that, maybe somewhere in my ancestry, somebody dies in the other universe, so I never existed. That's where I have problems where me personally, how can I personally be in another universe, or how can we always have a Clark Kent in every universe? That doesn't make sense. That's the thing I always have problems with on this. So anyway, I'm digressing, but that's my big issue with a lot of this multiversal stuff. And this, I know James Gunn is trying to get a little bit around it, but in a way he's not. But the way he's kind of adapting, like I said, what happened back in the 60s in the comic books, where there was Earth 1, 2, 3, and what he's using is dimensional portal thing. And we saw this dimensional portal stuff in the Superman movie when Lex Luthor created a pocket universe. And then in the first season of Peacemaker, we saw Chris's dad, Peacemaker's dad, had done the same thing. He had created a pocket universe. We now do find out for sure, other than one or two doors that we thought were there, whereas this weird alien creature keeps coming in and out of that little thing, that pocket universe. Now we find out there's 99 doors. And we also find out that Iggy, I love him. I love the Eagle. One day he wanted to go out in a snowstorm, and Chris took him into the pocket universe store to let him fly around and all that, and somehow he sensed that there was another version of himself, and Chris in behind this other door. So that leads to Chris eventually going through this door, getting scared, and eventually seeing his dad, who doesn't appear to be the butthead that he was. And being alive still, and his young brother still being alive. So the thing about this whole episode part of it is the key characters in Peacemaker, they want to be better than they are. Chris, Peacemaker, he wants to be a hero, not just an anti-hero. He wants to be recognized for the fact they helped save Earth, the universe, so to speak, from these butterfly things that were in the last thing. He wants to be able to be recognized. He wants to be part of a superpowered team because he feels he is superpowered. And then some of the other characters, like Amelia Harcourt. I love the one scene in this where she is accused of being excessive masculine personality stuff, and you go and see her beat up a few people and go to bars and that kind of stuff. And then, I also love some of the other characters like Ignomos. He's another one of those guys that, somehow or another he's connected to Argus still. He didn't get fired when everything got released in the prior series. But he wants to be more than he is. He wants to be better, a lot better. So I think this whole series may be around the fact that they're trying to find a way to better themselves, and they're going to learn that they're better than they think they are. But I think we're also going to see how they matured from before. We got Leota, who really got trashed when she ratted on her mom, and nobody will hire her, blackball her. And I think we're going to see a lot of other stuff. And of course, Augie Smith, who got killed by Peacemaker in the prior season. Now we see another dimensional portal of him. And then we also see some retrofitting from the first Peacemaker series. And I get this had to be done because when James Gunn was filming this, he had no idea he was going to be in charge of the DC Universe. So he had to do retrofit kind of the end scene where the Justice League showed up to help save the day, but they were too late at the end of the Butterfly series. Here they're calling it the Justice Gang, and you can see the silhouettes of Superman from the Superman movie, Supergirl. We see Hawkgirl. We see a little thing of Mr. Terrific up there, and Green Lantern. We see that. Awesome, awesome. And then, of course, Chris, because he wants to become a member of a superhero team and he thinks he is a superhero, doesn't know he already has the superhero heart, and he doesn't know how to get there yet, but he gets into this interview process, and it turns out that, Green Lantern guy, as we know from the movies, can be a little bit of an SOB and a jokester, and he rigged the microphones so everything could be heard and that, and Chris basically was called worthless, and he got left there pissed off. So anyway, that's all we kind of see, and then because he was upset, he decided to do some drugs, invited some people over to his house, did a massive orgy party. So DC's not afraid to sell skin, push the boundaries. So obviously this is not always something you want a kid to see. And then because he gets a little more high, he decides to go more, open this pocket universe door, because he's into this universe, into the one where Iggy was knocking on the door, and he meets his brother that was killed, 15, 20 years ago when he was a child. Meets his dad, who's still alive, and his dad's not a butthead. He actually appreciates his sons. And it looks like they're some sort of heroes, but maybe not. And Harcourt, she actually seems to be in love with him over this other universe, even though in the current one they had a one-night fling in, but John views it more. Chris, as Peacemaker, views it as more. So that's what this thing's really around and about. How do I review this? Hey, this is not great. It's not great. By the way, James Gunn's in this too as Maxwell Lord, who kind of controls the Justice Gang at this moment. There's no Metamorpho in this yet. I'm going to give this like a bronze medal, only from the standpoint I think it's building maturity run for all the characters. The multiversal thing I'm not pleased with, but I think by treating it more like the comic books did back in the 60s, I'll be good with it. So I give it a bronze. Otherwise, if this was doing the typical multiversal crap, then I'd be giving this a 10. So I'd like to hear your comments. Norb with Silver Age. Let me hear your thoughts. Thank you.